All right, everybody. We are going to start our Together Thursday Club Edition, joined by special guests plural. Okay, Rodrigo and Roman Lopez. So Roman is actually in charge of Rodrigo. He's his agent, so he's going to make sure that any questions we ask, he's able to answer. Now he wants to hang out with his dad, so that's a good thing. So we will just kind of roll through what we've done. Big thanks to Rodrigo for being here, dude. We appreciate you. Obviously, we've all seen you grow. I've seen you grow through the Republic, going back and forth, but now you're back. So I think just to start this, let's roll with. Actually, let me do a little homework here, guys. For those of you listening, players. If you have questions, I set up you have the Q&A down below. You can put questions and answers in there, and we will roll through them at some point during this. We'll probably talk for 45 minutes to an hour max, and we'll go through and try to answer as many questions as possible. We might hit on them as we go, but we'll see kind of where it takes us. So, Rodrigo, big thank you, man, for coming. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here with us.
Matt, thank you for the invite. It's always a pleasure speaking with you and having a conversation with you. And obviously, you guys are a big club in the area of Sacramento. So I'm really delighted to be on this webinar with you guys and excited to share my story and my career with so many kids.
Awesome. For those of you who are listening, because I know I got a couple of messages from people earlier today. Hey, I can't be on. Are you going to record this? Yes, we're going to record it. We post all of these to our YouTube page. So when it's done, I'll put it up there and you guys can go get it and listen to it. Or for anybody who's not here, we'll obviously share it as well. All right, dude. So I think most people on here probably know you, but why don't you give a little intro?
Hey guys, I'm Rodrigo Lopez, best known as Roro. I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, raised in Santa Barbara, California. I am 33 years old, and I am a midfielder for Sacramento Republic.
All right, so Guadalajara, I think that means Chivas or America, right? Which one?
Chivas. In Guadalajara, it's Chivas or Atlas. And okay. in Mexico, in all of Mexico, it's basically Chivas or America. But I had the pleasure to play for Chivas, and growing up, Chivas was my favorite team. So, okay. I kind of have that love for them a little bit more than
it's in your blood, right? It's in your blood.
A little bit.
That's the saying. All right, so tell us. So you were born in Mexico. When did you move to the U.S.?
I moved to the U.S. before I turned a year old, so I was a baby. Okay. Then we moved to Oxnard, California, close to Santa Barbara, Central California. And then I think I was 2 or 3 when we moved to Santa Barbara, and that's where that's where I stayed all of my youth. I did youth soccer until I was 15, and I played in Santa Barbara for the soccer club there, and played for SoCal United, which is in the Woodland area, Thousand Oaks area. I forget what name they have now, but back then it was SoCal United.
Yeah, I think they've merged.
Real SoCal. There you go, Real SoCal. So yeah, that's a little bit about my childhood.
Okay, so you came up through the American system like a lot of these guys, right? A lot of our players, more or less.
I did, but to be quite honest, we didn't have as much. Club soccer wasn't as good as it is now. In my opinion, there's a lot more resources now. The sport is growing so much, and even with the coaching's so much better now than it was back then. I was privileged to be coached by my dad, throughout the years, and a good friend, Rudy Ibarra, who to me is one of the best youth coaches still to this day. He's had a couple national championship teams for club in Santa Barbara, and I was fortunate to train under him. And when I went to Real SoCal, I also trained with AB, who's I think a director with the boys side, and we were able to win 2 national championships there with him. So, I was always fortunate to have good coaches and to have good people guide me in that direction to the, where I wanted to be. And that was to become a pro soccer player and always be playing, at the top level, even when I was in the youth systems.
Yeah, Rudy Ibarra. I think I met him with Alfonso
Yeah.
a couple years ago, and I think one of our probably the '04 DA team or maybe the '05s at the time played against the Santa Barbara team, and he was good coach with good footballers, and they played a nice style.
Yeah, he's always had good teams, and he's always developed players to play the game I think should be played, and he developed a lot of players out there. Unfortunately, some didn't make it, but I know a lot of them have been playing or played college college ball for D1. So I mean, I'm thinking he's doing something right out there.
Yeah, no, I think the group we played against. If I remember correctly, there were a couple of kids that got gobbled up by LAFC or the Galaxy shortly thereafter because
Galaxy. Yeah.
No, that's great, man. So you talk about football. So who's your favorite team? Who's your favorite team to watch?
My favorite team. I love watching Pep Guardiola's teams. So
big difference, I did. Big difference.
Yeah. It's funny because I was just watching something and Mourinho came up, but no. Pep Guardiola's teams are always, they've always caught my eye and my attention. Barcelona, always a good team to watch. Stuff like that. I mean, teams like those are the teams that I actually like watching.
So the teams you like watching, are they more in tune with kind of how you are as a player, the kind of football that you want to play? Those are the ones that you're going to gravitate towards?
Yeah, I think so. I like teams that, that play with the ball a lot and teams that press right away when they lose the ball. So, these are teams that do it fairly well. And Pep, throughout the years has flourished his style of play, and obviously a lot more coaches are trying to do it now, but obviously he's the one that does it best.
Yeah, no, it's tough to emulate that, especially when you have the best players in the world. It's easier,
Yeah.
in theory. So just talking about that part. So obviously, I've watched you play. I've got to see you through your time at the Republic and followed you even when you were gone. I know not every coach that you've played for, even at the Republic, played the style of football you were just talking about. How do you deal with that as a player?
It's tough, with Preki, it was very similar. He loved having the ball. He loved, attacking. He was a coach that never worried about the opponent. He was always worried about his team and his team, doing what we would practice every day during the week. So, came to games, we already knew what we were doing. We were all in sync, and we loved to play for each other, which was important, and we got along well off the field. So Preki left, and it was, someone came in. It wasn't my favorite style of play, but you have to adapt. You have to figure ways out to help the team out and provide for the team, which is more important than any coach and any player.
That's a good answer, right? Like we don't always get to play for people that necessarily subscribe to how we are, or we subscribe to how they are, but you got to navigate it.
Yeah.
Good life lessons probably for everybody sitting here on the call, because there will be somebody if there's not already in your life. So a question came through already. How old were you when you started playing?
When I started playing when I was 3 or 4 years old. And I always played maybe like a year up, 2 years up. So I grew up in the Santa Barbara area, obviously, and I would play in the Santa Barbara Boys and Girls Club League. And, a couple of years I played ASO. And when I turned 8, that's when I started playing club. I was 8 years old playing with U11, so I was playing 2 years up. And I mean, I didn't really get to play much, but to be quite honest, I played with a really good team, and it made me, a better player.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's continue to navigate through this. So Santa Barbara, playing club soccer. Did you play high school soccer?
I did, Santa Barbara High.
Okay. So how was that? Good group?
Oh man, we were really good. My freshman year, we might have made it to like around 16. I don't know. Back then, high school was a lot more competitive. We didn't have DA, we didn't have academies, so we all had to play high school. So the level was really good. My sophomore year, we were second in the nation, and we ended up losing quarterfinals in CIF. So that was a little bit frustration for me, just because we were so good and so talented that we didn't make it to the finals, or we didn't end up winning the CIF championship. And that year I had won everything with club, and it was kind of like a year that I wanted to do it all. So it was tough. But then after that, that's when I ended up leaving to Mexico. So after my sophomore year, that's when I took off.
Okay. So you finished your sophomore year of high school, and then you went to Mexico. How come did you not want to go the college route? Did you want to just go straight into the professional side? What was the deal there?
It was an option. It was an option to go to college. At that point, I was talking to UCSB, and obviously there was other interest. Just from being a national championship with my club team. We traveled. We played national finals in Maryland, I want to say, and all these college scouts and coaches were there, and I was able to get a few letters. But at that point, I just went to Mexico just to train. It wasn't something that I really thought of. I knew Chivas was my favorite team growing up, and it was a dream come true to me. But I just wanted to train. And then when I got the opportunity to train, and I was there for 2 weeks, and coaches offered me a contract and offered me school down there, I just didn't think twice. I felt like it was the right decision to do.
Yeah. So did your family go with you?
No. No, but I have my my sister lived out there, and obviously a lot of my family there, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, so they were all there, my cousins. It wasn't as hard, because I did have them, but at the same time, I left back, my parents, my brother, and it was tough. That to me was pretty tough.
Yeah, it's a big sacrifice, right?
Yeah, it is.
You have to excuse me. I have an interruption here.
No worries.
Say hi and now say bye. Yeah. It's all right, Roman. I got a couple of crazies over here too. Oh Lord. So you're in Mexico. You're without your parents. You're there. You obviously have family. What's the difference of the environment there compared to here?
It's a lot different. I mean, I went from training twice a week with my club team, sometimes 3 times a week when we would prepare for like nationals and regionals and state cup. But over there, it was every day. It was every day, and it was at 8 a.m. in the morning. So I took 2 buses to get to my training session, and it was like an hour ride. So I had to be up like 4:30 a.m., get on, eat breakfast, get on a bus, and take off. So that to me was pretty tough, and it was every day, and sometimes Tuesdays and Thursdays would always be double days. So it was tough. I mean, mentally you had to be really, really strong, and it was tough, but at the same time, it was the best thing that probably happened to me. I was able to realize what it was to actually, fight for what you want. So many great players there growing up in the Chivas academy, and every day going and competing. The new guy always sometimes being picked on because he's the new guy, and the guy in front of you doesn't want to give up his spot, and just trying to make it difficult for you to give up. So it's just a lot of hurdles that are thrown your way that you just have to get through and figure ways out to mentally stay and give it your best.
So as you're navigating through that, basically, obviously at some level you're navigating through that on your own, right? Without mom and dad, at least there to help you, mm-hmm. or to be that shoulder to cry on, if you will, for lack of a better term. how did you navigate some of those challenges? Did the club offer you a lot of resources to help you, or did you just have to get through it and kind of tough it out?
No, just get through it and toughen out. I mean, I barely got paid there when I was, when I had my first contract in Chivas. It was barely enough for like food and help out at my grandma's house with food and buses, transportation. Obviously, sometimes do some activities to distract myself and have fun. But it was tough. I mean, it was tough. Honestly, there was times where I cried and I wanted to come back home, but I have my family who always pushed me and who always helped me get through it.
Yeah, no, I think the dream of being a pro in a bubble is easy, right? Like we see the guys driving, McLarens and Ferraris and all these fancy bling. And the reality is that a lot of guys have to grind for a long time, right? And so maybe tell us, kind of navigate through this with these guys, give them an idea of kind of your career path, of the pro path, because it's not been a straight, easy one, right?
Oh no, man. I wish I could even write a book one day, but my career has been crazy. I mean, I've been rock bottom. I've been, almost at the top of where I, always dreamed of. I was close to retiring before coming to Sacramento Republic. I was working construction. And then years later with hard work, when I realized and I started, realizing what I really needed to do to become, a better soccer player and to become the player that I needed to be. It just took me, to the next level. And, I was close to being called up to the national team when I was in Toluca. So, just by having my name out there was special to me. I didn't get called. Bruce Arena got fired, but just having my name there was kind of special to me and something that I always, worked for and wanted. So it was tough. I mean, if I could, I mean, I could be here for forever and tell you guys, but it was crazy. I mean, like I said, I was about to retire in 2015, no, 14, right before the 14th season here in Sacramento. I was working construction and, life was okay. I was back in Santa Barbara. I was making okay money and I had just had this one. So, it was just find ways to provide for my family and take care of them because USL at that time wasn't paying well, so it wasn't enough for me. The year before I was in OC Blues and I was sleeping in someone's closet. So it was just, the grind. So I was that close to retiring and then, I get a call from Sacramento and, I worked really hard that off season. I was doing construction and then I would do double days. So in the morning I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and I'd go to the gym, go work construction. And then after that, I'd go for a run either at the beach or up in the hills. So, that to me was what really prepared me to be ready for Republic and to set me from one level to another.
I think that's an awesome story, dude. I think you should write that book. Because I think Roman and Roman's children someday will want to read it too, right, Roman? Long time from now. All right, so let's talk about your intro to Sacramento, right? So you can't, because 2014, the Republic is, and for those kids on here, for those players who don't know, the Republic didn't exist before this. So this is year one for the Republic, to give everybody some background. The stadium didn't exist. The first game was played at Sac City with 20,000 fans, and I was one of the 20,000 in a very small field, and everybody left that place saying, okay, let's go.
Even though we lost.
Well, the worst part was that we left about 30 seconds before the last goal was scored, and I heard it from the parking lot. But we knew that we always knew this was a soccer town, right? Like there's no doubt about that. But kind of give these guys you've been here, you've been gone, now you're back. right? So tell us about being here in Sacramento.
Yeah, well, I mean, I came. Well, Graham had told me at that time, he was the general manager, was, Sacramento is a huge soccer community, and they were going MLS. So that's what basically caught my attention. I said, if I give it, some good years, I think I could maybe play MLS again. And he would tell me, the fan base is going to be amazing. We had soccer day. I think they had a game at Riley
Yeah,
Stadium.
at the baseball stadium. I was
Yeah,
there.
the
Yeah.
baseball stadium, and it was sold out. And I guess they had sold so many season tickets, and the battalion had started. So I signed, and I came to sign the contract at Hod Italian, and I saw how much support it had in all these local press, and I mean it was crazy. It kind of felt like I was back in Mexico for a little bit, with all the attention and all the media. And then the next day we did the uniform unveilings at UC Davis Children's Hospital. That's when the battalion showed up, and it was just crazy. So that day I knew something special was going to be in Sacramento. And obviously that 2014 year playing at Sac City was just crazy. I mean, 20,000 fans. We lost the game. We were like, man, hopefully these fans come back, and the next game, same thing, 20,000. And I think we ended up winning against Galaxy. And, all of a sudden we're playing at our home field, which is Bonnie Field. And it wasn't, 20,000 people, but those 8,000 that fit, made it seem like it was 20,000. So it was special. And then winning the championship, obviously, it just took off.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk through that a little bit, because I was sitting in the stands watching. So I know what the resources were for the first year, right? Like I was actually in LA when you guys had your first game at Galaxy, because I was working with US Soccer at that time, and we were on the other fields doing a training, and you guys had just rolled up in the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a high dollar setup, right? Mm-hmm. It was definitely a lower budget film, if you will. So roll us through that, because I think that's a little bit the special part about that season, right? Of creating something from nothing, literally. And then let's talk about the playoffs, the game against Galaxy, because I think those are things that these guys can go watch it on YouTube and get a feeling for it like they were there.
Yeah, I think they just, obviously Warren and the people who started Sacramento Republic did a great job finding the right people for the club. I think Graham did a phenomenal job. He had been working at Ventura Fusion, and Ventura Fusion had been, obviously really successful in the PDL division. And so many great players came out of that team in Ventura. So he did a good job, bringing those players that he trusted, that he wanted. And obviously with Preki being an MLS veteran and MVP, playing probably one of the best players in my eyes to play MLS. And, obviously he was pretty successful as a coach as well. So bringing him in and giving him a second chance to coach again, because no one knew what Preki was doing anymore. He wasn't coaching anymore. So, Preki was the perfect man for this job. And, they brought in Justin Braun, which was, an MLS experienced player. And, from there, they just kind of filled the roles in, and obviously they found the right guys. I mean, like you said, the resources, it was funny because we were talking about this the other day. We had a little reunion with the 2014 team. And the first game we go play in LA, and the night before, so we get there on a bus, and we go to this Asian place that it was like a buffet, but it was like really bad. Like I love Asian food, but the food was so bad. And it was like, oh man, guys got sick that night. So it was just, we talked about this the other day. And then, Preki was telling us how he got really upset and called Warren right away and said, hey, this is not how you do this. Like, fix it. So they fixed it. They went and we went somewhere else and had a good dinner. The breakfast was obviously a lot better, and it was just crazy. I mean, USL back in the day was just, a small league. Obviously now it's growing a lot, but back then it was still kind of barely taking off.
Yeah. No, I think that's being kind. It was definitely it was in its infancy, which is great. It's so great to see it now where it is with the number of clubs and the support across the country. It's incredible, especially because I'm a little bit older than you. I remember what it was when it was a 10-team A-League.
The A-League, yeah.
And it was the level was good, but you had teams scattered across the country. So now the fact that you have them all over the place is very interesting to see, and I hope sustainable.
Yeah.
So let's roll through 2014, dude. Let's talk about playoffs, right? So, and I don't want to hijack the whole thing, but I think it was a pretty incredible run, right? An improbable run, I think, would be the easy way to say it. So, maybe talk us through just a little bit.
Well, we made playoffs. I want to say second place. We faced, who did we play? Wilmington, I want to say. Wilmington Hammerheads, maybe, in the playoffs. It was a team we knew we could beat. I think we had beaten them there in Wilmington. So playing at Bonnie in front of our fans, we just, if we play the way we like to play and we play the whole season, we knew we could get that win. So I think we won that game 3-0. And the next game obviously was Galaxy, which was our rivals and the team that we wanted to face. We really did want to play them because we had beaten them every time, except for that last game that we played, the regular season game. And Preki sat out a lot of our starting players, and I think they beat us 1-0 or 2-1, and that's actually what got them into the playoffs. So we wanted to play them, and it was just, from there, it was just history. The game was crazy. We were down 2-0, and, a lot of what happens in the second half. We turned around, win 3-2, and then in the championship that night when we played LA, actually before us, Orlando was the favorite. Orlando had the best team, the best budget, the best players, in my opinion. And they lost to Harrisburg, which was crazy. No one expected that, and we heard of that before the game coming into the locker room at Bonnie, and we were just so excited. We were already like, oh man, the final's gonna be in Sacramento. The final's gonna be in Sacramento, and bam, 2-0 first half against LA. So there's stories you go back and you're just like, man, that's crazy. It was a crazy year. It was just something special.
Yeah, a couple decent goals in that semi.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So let's we won't spoiler alert, but go look it up. You obviously have had a good quality of being able to take free kicks and set pieces. Is that something you've spent a lot of time on throughout your time?
Well, when I was younger, my dad, like I said, I would always go play at the park with my dad, and it was mostly like I never really worked on drills with him. It was basically like just hitting long balls to each other, playing 1v1, or with my brother when he was, able to go, and when he was old enough to go. And we would just hit the ball and goal. So it was just always like free kicks, finishing, and long balls. I never really did stuff with cones, none of that with my dad. So I don't know. I just feel like ever since I was young, I could hit a ball pretty well. I do practice, but it's just something that I think has been natural to me, a lot more natural. Nowadays, I try to practice them more whenever I have time. Once you guys, hopefully a lot of you turn pro, you guys will realize that, you don't always have time to work on stuff like that. There's times where you can and you should, but a lot of coaches too that I've had, like Preki, he never really liked us to stay after practice. And, it was tough to train and work on things that you needed to do. I was in Mexico as well, and one of the coaches hated us to stay after practice. He just felt like we should give it our all the hour and a half we were there, and just head home. So that was tough, but when I can, I do try to train and try to practice those free kicks.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe unintentionally you spend a lot of time on it, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's, um, we all know how much of a challenge it is with structured lives that a lot of our children live, mine included, right? Where everything's on a schedule and we have to be here and there. How often would you say as a kid growing up, you said you already said you practiced a couple times a week, maybe 3 times. What did you do on the other days?
Well, the other days were the days that I would go with my dad. Um, credit to him too. He worked a 6 to 5 job. You know, and to get home, obviously he was probably drained and tired, and I didn't realize that. And I would always ask him to go play, and sometimes I would, sometimes he would, and then sometimes he wouldn't. So the days that I got to go with him and be on the field, I still remember and I cherish a lot.
Yeah, I think those are awesome. Do you and Roman get to go out and train together?
Yeah, we've been using your fields.
Yeah, I've seen the videos. Roman, are the fields nice there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He
Good.
said he wants the key though to the goals.
Yeah, that one you're gonna have to call Zeka. Uncle Zeka has that key. Yeah, that's great. That's hilarious. Where was I gonna go? All right, so let's kind of roll through. So you're in Sacramento 2014, 2015, coaching change, right? Coaching change, style change. I'll say this, you don't have to. Style change, personality of your coach changed, and that's without judgment. That's my observation, right?
Yeah, I don't have a problem talking about it. I mean, I spoke to our coach that people say I didn't get along with. They're completely wrong, because I got along with them. Like, we got along. We would talk a lot. The problem here was, and I'll say it openly, the problem here was that I didn't want to re-sign with Sacramento. I mean, I wanted to stay. I wanted to re-sign for a long time, but they never gave me what I wanted or what I deserved. So when they didn't really think that I would go anywhere. And when they found out that I was going to go somewhere, that's when they started pushing me. And that's when they started, offering me more money and obviously better deal than I had. And when I didn't accept it, that's when things started going bad. Obviously you guys wouldn't know much about this stuff, but, I think you do, Matt. Once you have a player who doesn't want to sign and isn't coming back, they try to make your life miserable and not what you really want to do. You want to enjoy it every day. And at the end, I was honestly not even enjoying it that much. So, I knew it was time for me to leave.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't want to. There was a long time. I mean, I could have gone to San Jose the 2014 season. Halfway through the season, I could have gone to San Jose, and the coach, told me I would play. And I didn't leave because I was enjoying Sacramento, and I knew that we had a chance to winning. So, I decided to stay, and it was the right decision. And then in 2015, I also had, a chance to go to Galaxy. So it was just, I don't know. For whatever reason, I ended up staying, and then for whatever reason, I got offers to go to Mexico, and that's the story. I have no problems with that coach, and I have no problems with the general manager. It happened. We spoke about it after, years later, and they were trying to get me back on loan during my break in Mexico, and it didn't happen. I mean, nothing. I have no problems with them.
No, I think it's but I think it's also a good lesson there's a lot of players with aspirations of playing professional soccer, and the details are where people don't usually know, right? And so that's the hard part. Like, watching it on TV is easier, showing up to a game, but there's so much other piece that goes into it. So I think it's a good reference point, because it doesn't get any easier than playing youth soccer.
Oh no, enjoy it while you can.
Exactly. Enjoy it. All right, so now you're back in Mexico, right? So you're in Mexico. Can you, because I think probably a lot of our players that are on this, they probably don't have a reference point of how different soccer football in Mexico is than it is here. How was that experience going back?
Man, it was, leaving. Honestly, when I was here in Sacramento, I never thought I'd get another chance to go play in Mexico. In Mexico, if you're 23, 22, even if you haven't played in the first team in Mexico at that age, it's very unlikely for them to bring you on. So here I am, 28, going to a second division team in Mexico. Obviously, I got a contract that I was really happy with, that I was finally happy with. Being a professional soccer player, I think that was the first time that I actually felt like a professional soccer player. And I was happy, and I went to a team like Celaya, who's big and has their history in first division. And I had 3 great seasons, and from there, I got the attention from a couple of first division teams, and Toluca is the one that pulled the trigger and that I was happiest with. So, I got my shot there. I was there on loan for 6 months, and maybe things could have gone better, but I was able to play the first 10 games of season and be a starter. So to me, that was a huge accomplishment. Personally, I felt like I had been through so much that, starting 26, everything that I put in my head, I accomplished. So, I mean, Mexico to me has been one of the best leagues in the world, maybe top 5, top 6, behind, all these EPL, maybe the La Liga, Italian league. I think after those, Bundesliga, I think Mexico would be up there.
Yeah. And the fan base, how is it?
Oh man, it's amazing. It's just like, going to Europe, it's the only sport, they live for soccer. So many players, you go to the streets, any park, any field, it's full with soccer players, and people are just playing it all day, thinking about it all day, talking about it all day. So it's what they live for. Obviously here in the United States, it's growing and it's, getting a lot better. So
down there, because I'm going to just prove a point you can see the fields behind me, right? Down there, I'm sure there's lots of facilities like ours, right?
Oh, no chance.
Lots
Unless there's like a first division team, maybe. But even like the youth teams don't train on really nice fields,
Why they're better than us.
Yeah.
They can play.
I don't know. That's a good question.
They can play.
You do have teams like Pachuca, though. You go to Pachuca's facility and state of the art, man. Like, they have everything. They have school. They have everything you could think of there. Santos is another one. Monterrey now. Atlas. I mean, these places you go to and you're like, man, it's crazy. It's something that you want to be. You want to be there every day. And obviously these kids are, have a dream and they're hungry, and they do anything they can to make it. So
yeah, absolutely.
But we're fortunate. I'm saying we because I grew up here in the U.S. I think we're very fortunate to live in a country where there's so many resources, and a lot of things are given to us. That's if you want to be straight up, a lot of things are given to us here.
Yeah, no, I agree. My first experience with football in Mexico was somebody said, hey, there's going to be a local game down the street, and I was there doing some mission stuff, building houses, and I said, I'm going. And I showed up, and it was a dirt pitch with goals, and I said, okay, this is football. And it was an eye opener for me because I'd never seen it in a local neighborhood that was just, the 2 neighborhood teams were playing, and everybody was there. It was incredible, and it was just kids.
Yeah.
You get a different feeling for it. It is, to your point, it's so, that's all. It's not all they care about, but it's so part of the culture that football is so much, for everybody. It's a release.
Yeah.
All right, so you got the run at the big leagues in Mexico, had some decent success, and then what?
Then I got to the point in my career where I just, I needed to start thinking future. And, Sacramento was a place that I felt at home. And my family felt at home. So, we pushed to get a contract here. I had all the other offers as well. And I just waited until Sacramento could pull the trigger, and now I'm back. Happy to be back. I know it's difficult times right now, but we're very fortunate. Regardless of we're playing or not, we're just fortunate to be alive and to be healthy. And obviously, I have my family, and I could breathe and I could go outside and use your fields, and that's just great, man.
It's beautiful. So let's transition to now. So obviously you get here, everybody's fired up, the season's going. You and I meet at Starbucks February, March, right? And then coronavirus, COVID-19 hits, and now everybody's locked in their house for the better part of 70 days. And so some of the questions that have come through in the question and answers, what have you been doing? Right? How have you stayed ready? I know, and then maybe we'll get to what the Republic have been doing lately.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my wife said it. She was like, "Man, I think this virus is being at home for you has been a blessing in disguise because I came in and I usually love to prepare like myself really well for preseasons. And this preseason, I didn't come as fit as I wanted to. I was, pretty fit, but not what I wanted to. Um, I had to move country. I had to pack a whole house in Mexico and take it somewhere else. And then I'm in Santa Barbara. I have another kid. I have another baby. And, obviously you would know it's just so hard with all that going on that, I was able to work out, but not how I wanted to. And then moving to Sacramento, everything happened just so quick that I wasn't able to prepare. So, 10 days into preseason, I injured my knee. I have an LCL sprain, which set me back about 6 weeks, 5 weeks. And I was able to play March 6th, but to be honest, I wasn't 100%. I was maybe like a 70, 75%. So, I just wanted to get out there and play in front of those fans again. And obviously it was a special night. But to answer your question, I've been working out so much and been doing so much with this time. I was doing double days, and now I'm finally starting to feel like myself, and I feel like I did a couple years ago. So I've been working out a lot. That's for sure.
That's awesome. So I don't know if any of our players know this, but the Republic have been back now for 3 or 4 weeks training, actually.
3 weeks.
So I know you and I talked the other day about this. How is it kind of being in the individual training mode now? And I know we talked about the physical wear and tear, but how is it kind of being in a box, right? What is that like?
It's better than being at home. I'll tell you that. So just, being able to get out there, smell fresh grass and to see your teammates, even if it's, at a distance, it's great. It's something that I've done for 15 years as a professional player. So being locked out for 2 months it was crazy. It was driving me crazy, to be honest. And like I said, just going back out there and, being on the grass, being able to lace up my shoes and seeing my teammates and my coaches and the people that work there is just, it makes it a lot better. I know you guys are in the works to hopefully coming back and getting some sessions in. So guys, whenever you get back, enjoy it, have fun.
Yeah.
You never know when it could be taken away from you. So enjoy it.
It's a great message, right? I think everybody's jonesing to get back.
Yeah.
My interrupters have left now, so
yeah,
it's okay. You got little ones. Hey Roman, I have a question for you, dude. How is it watching your dad play as a soccer player?
Good.
It's good. Is he your favorite player, or is Messi your favorite player?
Okay, no.
All right. That's good. Good answer.
He's shy.
That's okay. That's all right. We'll get you out on the fields more. So a couple questions have come in. Who's your favorite player that you've tried to emulate, Rodrigo, as a player?
Ooh, lately, I mean, currently, I want to say Kevin De Bruyne is probably a player that I really like watching. In the last 10 to 20 years, I would say Iniesta and Xavi, Barcelona players. I think those two are, are guys who just, to me, play soccer or football the way it should be. Smart, simple, effective. I've never been a guy who's, does tricks or could do step overs and beat a player. So, I use my strengths to my advantages, and that's just playing quick, playing 1-2 touch, and I've always had good vision on the field. So I could say that, if there's players that I would watch a lot, it would be them.
Yeah, I think that's those are good go-tos. For those of you who don't know Xavi or Iniesta, because some of you weren't alive during their
primes,
glory years, they're like 6'5", fast as they're little guys who played in the middle of the park, who rarely ever made mistakes, and weren't the most athletic dudes on the planet, but were so good at what they did. Right? They won the game with their brains.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we would have seen, I don't think we would have had Messi without Iniesta and Xavi.
Absolutely.
I think they made him the player that he is now, to be honest.
Yeah. Create some freedom when you have those guys around you.
Oh, man. Of course.
You guys just stay right here. I'll be back.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm going to roll through some of these questions because I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got a little one. Roman, you've been incredibly patient. So I'm going to start with a random one that's I'm actually really glad that somebody asked this. What's your favorite Mexican restaurant in Sacramento?
Oh, wow. That's that's easy. That's there's a place called Lislitas, it's like Mexican seafood. I love that place, and it's owned by a couple of my friends.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite, and I really like Zocalo. Zocalo is a good place that I like going to. And now that you took me to Cantaritos.
Oh, Cantaritos. That's right. There we go. Just get the air conditioner turned on.
Oh, man.
I was back in there the other night. They sorted it out.
Did they?
Yeah. Oh, that one's close to you anyway, so that's even better.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna have to look up the first one you talked about. Where's that one?
There's a few. There's one in South Sac, and then one in North Highlands.
Okay. All right.
I'll send you.
Nice. Dude, I'm all about Mariscos, so send it over.
There you go.
It's my jam. All right. Any advice that you would have for some of our young players?
First and foremost, to enjoy it, to have fun. I think if you have fun, it just makes everything, the process, a lot better. If you're inspiring to go play D1 or play professionally, you obviously have to have a passion for the game and enjoy it. When I was younger, sometimes I wouldn't take soccer or practice seriously. I love the game, but I was playing for a team who, some guys just didn't take it too serious, and it was just, it's contagious, and I would joke around too, and it was fun. But now that I think of it, it's just like I was there for an hour and a half, and I didn't get the best out of this training session. And now whenever I coach or I'm able to help someone out, I tell them to, you have an hour and a half to go to practice. That's just an hour and a half out of your day. Might as well just go and learn something new every day. I think if you learn something new every day and listen to your coaches, I think, you're on the right path and could, do big things or get to wherever you want to get. And that's just not just in soccer, it's just in life, If you want to be successful, you just have to work hard and enjoy what you do.
Growth mindset, right? Mindset, open mind. What's your favorite part of being a professional soccer player?
Whoa. I would say, obviously, that's a good question. I mean, it's always been my dream. So, being able to still do it at my age and get out there every day and go practice and see teammates and play on the weekends in front of fans, I think that to me, in front of my family, that to me is something special. Something that reminds me every day of what I went through to get to where I'm at now and how much I struggled. So, every day I'm very religious, and I thank God that, I'm able to still play and I'm healthy and, and I could enjoy what I do, which is to play soccer and get paid for it. So,
Yeah, there's worse things you could do.
yeah, definitely.
So maybe we'll transition with this. What do you see yourself doing? Because I know you and I have spoken. If your body holds up, you want to run it out for another few years as much as you can. I hope personally to see you play in the MLS when it's here in Sacramento. I know that would be a cherry on top of the Sunday for you. What's after this? What's after playing?
I really like coaching. I really like, helping the youth. I think with, what I've lived and what I've done throughout the years and where I've played, I think I want to share my experience and I want to share my knowledge with the youth, whether it's, a club team, maybe obviously trying to hopefully get to a professional team eventually in the future. But I do know that I want to stay in the game of soccer, and I want to continue, working in that area, on that field. So it's tough. I don't know what's going to happen yet, but I think somewhere it definitely it's going to have to do with soccer. So, I mean, I'm hoping that, I stay with Republic and play that first year of MLS. If not, I want to be involved with whatever it is they have going on, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we hope so too. I'll go with one final question, and then I'll give you a chance to throw something out there. Derek Evans, who one of our coaches, he said, I'll read this. Roro, this is Derek Evans. What's up, my man? Who gave you the nickname Roro?
It was an uncle. It was an uncle back in Mexico. I don't know why. But
just stuck?
Yeah, it just stuck. Ever since I was little, that's what stuck to me. And even now, like, people sometimes don't even know my name, and they just say Roro. So
you should get it on your driver's license. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's a question I saw here from Kylie. I know Kylie personally, and I don't know if you guys know her. Obviously you guys know her, but I think she's a great soccer player, and I've seen her train really hard during your guys' break. So I want to answer a question. I saw it.
What were the struggles or challenges becoming a pro?
There's one, and then what was the other one?
Inspired you to become a high-level player?
I'll answer both for her. What inspired me to become a high-level player was just having the passion and watching the game when I was very little. My dad played in Mexico professionally, second division, so he's the one that actually got me into Mexican soccer. And just watching it was something that, I loved doing. And every Saturday, Sunday, I was on the TV just waiting for soccer games. I would wake up, watch soccer, and I'd fall asleep probably watching soccer. So that's what inspired me to become a high-level athlete. And then what were your struggles and challenges when you become a professional soccer player? My challenges, to be honest, I've answered this question in the last few weeks, because obviously I haven't been asked so many questions other than these 4 months, with COVID. And they always ask me, what are the biggest challenges? To me, the biggest challenge to become not just a professional soccer player, but a successful one, was myself. And when I was young, I was with Chivas USA. I was 18 when I started playing for Chivas USA in MLS, I made my debut at 18, and I was very talented. I was on the national team for the U.S. on the U18s, U20s, and I knew I had talent. I just knew I had it. But I would say that I didn't work hard enough, or maybe I didn't do the things that I needed to do to get to that next level. Because I was on the roster, but I wasn't playing much. I was maybe coming in off the bench. I was a starter on the national team. I was sometimes captain on the national team, but that's playing with people my age. Playing professionally in MLS back then was just really difficult. And I didn't do the things that I needed to do, to be honest, to get to that level, to make that jump. And like I said, when I turned 26 and I had my son, that's when I realized, I need to do everything I can to make that jump, and I challenged myself, and that's what got me to fulfill all my dreams, all of them. My agent said it best. He was like, everything you've told yourself that you would do and all the challenges you've set yourself, you've accomplished. And he was like, that's crazy. Like, your perseverance is, you're probably the definition of. So a lot of players would have given up. A lot of players would have quit and, started doing something else. And I was really close to, but there was just something in me that I knew I had to do to just, feel good about myself. And that was it.
I think that's a great question to end on. So
yeah.
I think it's a good segue. So one thing that I want to do is make sure if these guys want to follow you on social media, I know you've got a couple of different options, right? And to be clear, Rodrigo's also doing some extra training on the side, so you guys can hit him up. So feel free to give your whatever those are so they can go find them. I know I follow them, but I can't think of it.
And also, I'm negotiating my contract with Matt, so if you guys want to have me at the fun, you guys might want to help me out.
Send me your emails.
No, you guys can follow me at my personal page. It's at Roro, RORO 8 football, and then you guys on there, you guys could see my obviously my side page for training, which is R8 Football Academy or football training. Sorry. So yeah, whenever you guys want training, let me know.
Yeah, hopefully we're all back there very, very soon.
Hopefully Matt could unlock some goals.
Yeah, well, if Uncle Zeka learns how to lock them back up, then we don't have to worry about it. All right, well, hey, man, we appreciate you. Thanks for your time. I know you got little ones. We look forward to seeing hopefully Roman in the very near future out at the field, wearing some blue, white, and red stuff, and just getting out to watch you, because we're looking forward to seeing that here very soon. That's one thing we didn't hit on. Any idea when your guys' first game will be roughly?
They're saying July 11th.
Okay. Set your calendars. Will there be people allowed? We probably don't know that.
We don't know. So they're just, day by day, they're just trying to figure things out. First, they're going to set the schedule, and then, we're a month away, a month and a half, roughly 5 weeks. So hopefully by then, we jump a stage and we're able to have some fans in the stadium. That's what we want. That's what we all want.
Absolutely.
But, we're going through these times, so just got to deal with it. Just got to deal with it and take what we have.
Yeah, amen to that. All right, brother. Well, we appreciate you, dude. Thanks again so much. Players, thanks for joining us. Obviously, follow up with Rodrigo if you have questions for him. He's very gracious with his time, and if you see him around town, say hello. His name is Rodrigo. You can call him Roro, though. So.
I probably won't even turn around.
Exactly.
I won't turn around.
Right,
but yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything you guys need, you guys feel free to, I'm on Instagram a lot and on Twitter if you guys need whatever you guys, question. Hopefully I'm seeing you guys around. I know I'll be around more your guys' field, so we're trying to get something sorted, right, Matt?
Yeah, buddy. We'll figure it out.
All right, bud. All right, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Hey, appreciate your time. Have a great evening with the fam. We'll talk to you later.
I will. Take care, buddy.
All right, everybody. Together Thursday. That's a wrap. See you soon. Later, buddy.